according to Mr. Ramadurai, they continue to be unstable in some manner or the other. You don't have a clear visibility whether that will be the same in the next quarter or not. How are you building that in terms of looking into the future? Because financial services, you don't know which is the next bank. We are still not out of the woods in the US. And the US market overall, we still talk about people cutting budgets. So you yourself said that billing rates are not going to go up, for example.
See, if you really look at the industries, for financial services, we called it stability. We didn't call it recovery. The reason we are saying is that at this point in time, based on what we have in terms of pipeline, we think we have hit the bottom and it's more or less stable. We are not expecting in our existing client base a huge shock as we look at this point in time. Whereas if you look at the manufacturing, high-tech and telecom sectors, we still feel there can be shocks possible because we are not getting very clear indications. So we have factored both of these in. That's why we are saying we have to be very, very cautious. We cannot say that just because we have grown this quarter, immediately we don't want everyone to start thinking that, okay, we're looking at a growth quarters.
That's not just cautious, that's a huge word of caution. I mean, is that a correct way to interpret that there is a huge sense of caution in the stellar performance of this quarter, that this may not be able to be repeated next quarter?
Yeah, at this point in time, we don't want to make any firm, certain statements about what will be the growth looking like in the next quarter. Primarily because in these three sectors, which I talked about, we still don't know.
All right, so you're living quarter by quarter. Some people in the corporate world are living day by day, but at least you're better off on that front. Lakshmi, two things that Chandra talked about were manufacturing and high-tech, and that's where Europe comes in. We have huge telecom players there as well, and a bit of a spot of trouble with the BT line of business. But first, give me the bird's eye view. How bad is it, and is Europe going to be the last one to recover in the global piece?
In the continental Europe, so if I were to look at UK and continental Europe separately, the continental Europe, the impact and the downturn is plateauing, definitely. In the UK, it's plateaued, but the chances of how quickly it will recover and how fast it will recover is not known, and particularly in the telecom sector in the UK. So I guess the situation is pretty much similar to what we observe in the US markets.
In terms of the contribution, but Europe is a tad worse off from what I understand compared to the US, at least for the quarter which has gone by. Do you see that trend continuing at least?
No, as I said, we can't say how the next few quarters would be.
But if I look at that you're getting it from the business.
If I look at the pipeline, there are deals in the pipeline, but as ever, these are taking much more longer to close. So we can't see any in the immediate future. I can't predict how quickly they will close, and therefore things would start to look better.
One of the larger clients in the space of British Telecom, despite without getting into the details of each client's specific issues, how do you see that affecting the overall environment in the telecom market? It is the largest player. Whether for you or not, it's a different issue, but it's the largest player in the space and it's going through a bad patch. Do you see that kind of having a rub-off effect on others?
You mean from that telecom company?
Yes, yeah.
I think most telecom players are struggling. There is a war going on to capture more of the market share. If you observe in the UK, O2 has just overtaken Vodafone in terms of market share, but all of them are struggling in terms of their revenues and profits and so on.
And they are not giving you any bullish indicators at all?
There are no indicators, let alone bullish indicators at the moment. Yeah.
Which means no extra business?
Which means that they're all talking about efficiencies and cost cutting. Definitely new major projects are not on the anvil, and decision making is still very slow.
How about manufacturing?
Manufacturing again is pretty much in the same space. I think they are trying to see how to run with less. New projects are not being talked about, so a lot of efficiency discussions.
All right, efficiency, which could also bring in the whole component of offshoring, which is where you do cost saving, and Ajay, that's where your role comes in, because both these gentlemen have to look towards you to make sure you help them in cutting costs. But there has been a lot of talk about variable pay component getting to 100%. You guys are actually looking at first time of net reduction. How is the situation looking for you? Are you also in the same boat quarter to quarter? You cannot plan ahead, you cannot just go on hiring, you're frozen everything. Is the situation as bleak?
So let me give you the full perspective as far as that side of the business is concerned. See, from a headcount point of view, what we said is we had given offers to the campuses, which stands at 24,885. And we are saying that we are going to honor all the commitments that we have made. So that is definite that that is the kind of numbers that we would get in. Of course, it depends on the joining ratio as to how many students that we have offered would finally join in. And apart from that, what we have said is, as far as the laterals are concerned, which is the experienced professionals that we have, that is the one that we are doing for very specific niche requirements. Because at this stage, if you look at our utilization side, we are operating at 79.2, which is excluding trainees, and including trainees that we have pumped it up to about 71.3 at this point in time, compared to where we were last quarter. So capacity-wise, we do have capacity to take care of the future business needs. So given the business environment, what we are saying is, as far as the recruitment side is concerned, the ones that we have made, we are definitely going to go ahead with. As far as laterals are concerned, we are going to be very cautious. And for niche only that we are going to do the addition. Yeah.
Going forward though, I mean, when I spoke with Ram a couple of months ago, he gave an indication that, look, for you to be a global company, you will have to hire locally, and you have hired in Cincinnati, I believe, about 1,000 people or so. Do you see that affecting the cost component on the balance sheet as well? More you hire abroad, even in Europe, maybe you'll need people with local language skills. Do you see that as a cost component coming in?
Yeah, so if you look at one of our major propositions, what we have as a value differentiator is our global network delivery model. Now, these are the delivery centers that we have created outside India, for example, in China, Hungary, in South America, and then as far as the major markets are concerned, in US as well as in UK for example, in Peterborough. So Cincinnati, we said we will create it, and it will be a 1,000 people center in 3 years' time. And this year we have said we will be recruiting about 250 trainees from various universities. And it's been a good effort so far. We have offered to about 111 students from about 15 odd universities, and 99 of them have accepted the offer. 38 joined, and the remaining are joining going forward.
But you see that trend continuing as you go ahead?
Yeah, as far as our global network delivery model is concerned, yes, that's the one that we are going to be very bullish on, and that's the one that's helping us deliver to our customers and giving them the experience of certainty.
So Chandra, how will this all now fall into the place? I mean, you're the future CEO. You will have to take care of the fact that you have to be a global company, you have to hire locally, and you have to come back here and push the offshoring model to save cost. In terms of the margin spreads then, it's going to be a delicate play, isn't it? Because you can't shed that image while you can't take your eyes off cost cutting by doing more offshoring, and that component will keep on increasing. Is that the real picture then?
I think the issue is not about image. See, if you really look at our results, the first and foremost thing to pick up in the results is that the business model is intact. We have delivered volume growth, we have delivered margin,
right.
The business model is pretty strong, and it's going to be very, very successful going forward. And in the medium to long term, there is a lot of business to be had. It's a huge market, and even though we are a 6 billion plus company, still on a global scale, we are small. There is a lot of business to be had. In the medium to long term.
That's talk by the future CEO.
Medium to long term.
Right.
But if you look at the short term, all we are saying is that there is uncertainty in the market. So we just want to be very cautious. It doesn't mean that we are not going to hire people locally. It doesn't mean that we are not going to hire people. Even this year, the net addition in TCS is going to be of the order of 20 to 25,000 people. Okay, last year also we had not net addition, gross addition is going to be 20 to 25,000 people. Last year we had over 35,000 people. This year we'll have a little less, but still it's a large number. That is also because of the fact that we have an opportunity to expand the pyramid a little bit this year. And going by the market conditions, it's better to be prudent. That's the step that we have taken.